Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Wyntis Hall Show. I am going to give everyone a few minutes to log on before I introduce my wonderful guest for the evening. So please share this as you come on, and we will get started in a couple of minutes. Want to make sure this gets shared out and everyone taps into this show. Miss Lee, can you make sure you put it in your groups as well? And good evening to everyone that's tapping on again. Please share. Uh-oh. I always do that. We will get started in just a few minutes. I promise. Like I told y'all, if I had an assistant, it would be much easier. But unfortunately, I have to do all the work myself.
It appears that you're doing an amazing job thus far.
Oh, well, thank you so much. You wasn't supposed to say that. We were supposed to let Mickey think that I need assistant. But thank you. Let me make sure we share. And share it out to some people here. It looked like Facebook did an update for me. Got this AL thing, this AI generated. I'm getting old. One more minute, please bear with me, and we will get started. Seems like there we go. Okay, I am ready. Thank you, everyone, for being so patient. Thank you, everyone that's logged in already and watching. And thank you again, like I said, for tuning in to another edition of the Wyntis Hall Show. We're going to have a very informative show tonight. We're going to talk about some new stuff that's coming abroad, and I'm excited about it. Here with me, you've seen this gentleman on a few weeks ago. I have President Robert Olive he's president of the International Martin Luther King League of Community Leaders. And then on the screen coming to us live from the Bay Area, I have Chairperson Kira Lee. And I want to thank you both for being here this evening. I'm so excited to have you both at the same time because I'm just excited about all of this. And I want the world to be excited with me. So I just want to go ahead and jump right into it. I want both of you, I'm going to let her introduce herself first.
Okay,
Are
of
you
course,
okay with that? Ladies first. Ladies
always,
first.
yes.
Okay. So, Chairperson Kira Lee, can you please just tell us a little bit about yourself, just where you're from, and just introduce yourself to the A10 family?
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having us, Wyntis. My name is Kyra Lee. I am a proud Detroit girl that happens to be out in the Bay Area, making good trouble with my co-conspirators here out in California. Um, I think that I have had the pleasure of serving in a couple of different spaces. I have been best known for founding International Black Women's Day on June 18th, establishing several international networks that highlight intersections of Blackness, intersections of family and community building, and making sure that we are able to serve each other equitably, that we are able to show up in spaces that don't typically have a voice, and establish distribution of resources to folks that may or may not always have access. So that has
Absolutely.
been my life's legacy. And I have most recently fallen into the honor of serving alongside President Olive, Pastor Barry Randolph, Michigan Humanitarian of the Year, Bishop Herman Starks, and Reverend Kevin Harris in this new project, making history from the International MLK League of Community Leaders space. So I'm really excited to get into that conversation tonight.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. And President Robert Olive, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Wow. How do I follow behind them amazing things that she's done? Shout out for making a platform and and keeping the focus on our sisters. Most definitely, our women is the foundation of this universe. So I appreciate y'all and the work that the sister Kyra has done in creating a space for our sisters. So I appreciate that. Um, about myself, wow, I don't know. I'm not good at this.
Yes, you
She's
are.
actually better at introducing me than better than introducing myself. But just a brief couple of things. I am the founder and executive director of a nonprofit, a conscious community based service providing nonprofit organization called Righteous Sons. That was started about 8 years ago, and today we have 23 different departments that cover a multitude of things from human trafficking awareness. We also do some rescue missions, making sure that our babies get back home safely, mentoring, uh, prison reform, and a list of other things. And then most recent, I am one of the founders of the MLK League, better known as the International MLK League of Community Leaders. And that gave birth just from being put in different positions of leadership um, within, for example, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. I was president of the Detroit chapter and also the representative for the state of Michigan there. And that kind of opened my eyes to a list of things that we needed to improve on. I was able to see and do some self evaluation of where we dropped the ball at as well. And so, myself, Bishop Starks, and Kyra, um, we were just talking about our people cannot continue to get, have treatment. We can't continue
Right.
to leave others out
Right.
and leave others behind. So that gave birth to the MLK League, and with the great support and team, um, we're in I think 29 different cities and states,
Oh, wow. Okay.
two different continents or two different countries.
Yeah, I see
We're
we had
on.
somebody joining on from where? Liberia, West Africa.
Most definitely. So we got
Okay.
our ambassador in Liberia, in the Republic of Liberia,
Mhm.
Pastor Solomon, who's on the ground out there, and we have some other spaces that we're building out because at the end of the day, we look over history, we've seen some successes that we can talk about. Where some of the freedoms that we're enjoying today, even though some of those freedoms are at risk of going back to how it was prior to the blood, sweat, tears, and sacrifice that some of our great leaders before us came about, is at risk. But the bottom line is we have to collectively work together and stand together as one.
Very true.
And that's the only way that we can change the narrative within our communities, whether we're talking about our community here in Flint, down in Detroit, or even down in the Bay Area with our sister Kyra, or across the globe, period. We have to stand together, come together, and hold ones accountable and start using our greatest resource, which is ourselves, our unity amongst each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you. He did a good job with that, didn't he? Right.
The brother's good. The brother's good.
Snaps and snaps. So Kyra, or and President, either one. What's the mission of the MLK, International MLK League of Community Leaders?
I'll let you go ahead and give it to him, Kyra.
We are established strictly for the purpose of uniting community leaders across the globe under one umbrella, deconstructing all forms of violence for all peoples. So, what does that mean? If you go to our website, www.mlkleague.org, you will see 13 different types of violence listed. Historically, folks will identify gun violence or domestic violence or crimes against humanity or housing. And these are all symptoms of types of violence that all communities experience. What the MLK League recognizes through our leadership is that this is not racial, this is not socioeconomic or localized to a region. We have Dr. Solomon, who is tuning in at a very late hour in the Republic of Liberia, because this is impacting communities across the globe equally. Where some folks might think that gun violence, as an example, is an urban issue, if you're from Michigan, you understand that we just had a major trial about a high school shooting that affected a suburban community, and families were harmed and children were lost by this topic of violence. So here our mission is to make sure that we are clear that this is not a cause against people. This is a cause to unify people, because we have all bared the weight, shared the trauma of the violence that is impacting all communities.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, just to expand on that for what Kyra was saying, why do you feel the need that we need to gather all of our community leaders? Have you sensed or did you feel a disconnect that was happening? We got so many organizations out there.
Mhm.
Where did you tell me a little bit about how you feel about that?
Well, first, unfortunately, if we look at the state of our communities, our urban Black communities, Black and brown communities, we'll see that in some cases, in most cases, there's oversaturation of individuals that want to see a change.
Mhm.
There's an oversaturation of individuals striving to do the work, and in most cases are doing a good job at doing the work. But the problem that exists is that if I'm over here on doing one thing here,
Mhm.
and then you're doing another thing on the next block, now that could be a good thing, right?
Right.
But if we're not communicating,
Mhm.
if we already have limited resources within our communities, right? And then when a dollar do come to the community, now me and you about to fight over this dollar.
Absolutely.
When
Absolutely.
when if we collectively come together, work together, we can make that dollar stretch way more further than I can as the individual, or you can as the individual, or the individual organization or group. And so that's why it's so important for us to be able to come together. First and foremost, if we look at history, history has shown our people coming together, and when we came together, the narrative changed. You know, I hear people all the time talking about, well, Black people can't get together, Black people can't create this and can't create that. We've already have seen it done. We've seen Black Wall Street.
Yes, we have.
You know, we've seen Black Bottom Detroit before they, threw a highway in the middle of it.
Right.
And we've seen, all types of examples of success and unity within our people. Our people are naturally family, community, village oriented, right?
Mhm.
And so, but we have allowed ourselves to be stripped from our identity, stripped from our sense of pride of self in our collective group operation, right? Because that's what we're known for. And so, because of that, we see minimum success. We see temporary, accomplishments, and temporary victories. And that's all good. Not to try to throw shade at nobody or take anything away from anybody. But the bottom line is our babies are still getting killed. Our
Right.
women and our elders are still being harassed in our unsafe in our communities. We still have police brutality. You know, we still have racism that exists in 2024. We still have all these things that shouldn't even be a thing right now.
Mhm.
All the blood shed and sacrifice from like I said, from those leaders before us, our ancestors, we shouldn't be still dealing with the same issues.
Say that all the
And
time.
because of that, that's why we have to come together. We have to realize that the mission is bigger than me as the individual. It's bigger than you as the individual. And once we start operating from that mindset, then my pride and ego, and I can be humbled, and we can work together. I can say, look, let's both take on this project. Or when you know what, you can take lead. I don't have to be, my name don't have to be at the head of everything.
Right.
You know, you take lead. Or you know what? We all have a unconscious and conscious habit of looking at things from our own perspective. And our way might be right and work for us as the individual, but what works for me might not work for you.
Right.
I mean, a prime example, we still have our brothers and sisters up here in Flint that don't have clean drinking water.
10 years this month. Yeah,
Now,
absolutely.
we can speak on that, but now our brothers and sisters down in Ben Harbor, a few hours down the road, they have new pipes and they have clean drinking water now.
Mhm.
So we know that things can be done, right? That we know that there's solutions out there. But if I keep the solution that I found, my key to success to myself, and not share it with you, then have I really succeeded? And
No.
that's the mindset that we've inherited as a people, as a community, to where you know what, I see this sister over here getting jumped on, but that's not my issue, so I'm gonna turn my head.
Mhm.
But once upon a time, everything was our issue because you my sister, you my brother in the cause, you my neighbor that live right next door to me. So how do I look like allowing somebody to break into your house next door to me and me not say nothing?
You look crazy.
You see what I'm saying? It's only gonna be a matter of time before somebody
It's
try
a,
to break in my house.
right.
And so we have to start taking that mindset on of making sure that we do for others as we want others to do for ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so that's the importance of the unity. That's why that call to action. And also the other thing I want us to think about too is that in the title it says League of Leaders, right?
Mhm.
So it's not just those who have these titles as leaders, you know, because a lot of people that has these titles of leaders has honestly failed our people.
Absolutely.
They've been sold out and bought out and compromised, and so the good thing is that you know I'm a God fearing man, so there is room for redemption, right? But also, the book that I read says that when Jesus was speaking, said, "All these things that I've done, greater things shall you do." Right? All these things that you should do, and even greater. That's the actual words. And so that means that we all have the power, the authority to change this narrative. We can't we can't look for other people to come rescue us when we ourselves have the solution. Because, for example, if Flint was looking for Robert from Detroit to come rescue you all, and I just come with all the things that worked in Detroit, we still not going to have success here in Flint because guess what? The individuals here is uniquely different.
Absolutely.
The community is uniquely different. The laws and ordinance might be uniquely different. And so we have to be able to tap into the God within, the greatness within, the uniqueness that God, the creator, whatever you call him, created you to be. And so when we collectively come together in your greatness, and I collectively come together in my greatness, and or in Kyra's greatness, or in anybody else's, then that's when we be able to make the change. That's when the narrative is being shifted into something positive, productive, and something that we can really sit back and see success in.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, Kyra, now expanding on what he spoke about, why do you think we've taken on that mindset as a people?
I think that we have to divide that into two pieces because there's what we're told about ourselves and then there's what we know to be true. And it's different. So we're told that we don't get along. We're told that we come from lack. We're told that we are children of slaves. We are told that we are just now getting our authenticity back, our identity back, our independence back. So I love the fact that President Olive speaks a lot about narratives. One narrative that's extremely dangerous to melanated peoples here is the idea that you started when white people became aware of you, and your identity and your history started when white gays became aware of you. That is not where we began. That is not our origin story. So when you look at yourself as a person that was an agriculturalist or an economist or a ruler of a village, a leader of a community, and you were kidnapped, you were shipped, you were brought to foreign land that white indentured servants could not colonize, it could not cultivate in the bayous of Louisiana, this environment could not be tamed. So they went and got a more experienced group of people who could till the land, who could build in swamp, who could take the heat, who could deal with the disease that comes from the natural factors that were available inside of the Mississippi Delta. This is how we got here. And we overcame all of that by the millions, in spite of the millions that were lost in the middle pack. These are the children that are sitting on this call right now. So that is our history when we start. We have always gotten along because we had to. But the way we are taught to get along is based on utility, which is the second half of your question. We have been taught to relate to one another based on the need to survive. And what I love about this next generation is they're moving into this beautiful world called thriving. What does it look like to do more than just exist to pay bills? What does it look like to exist for more purpose than an employer, for more purpose than just your family? You as the individual, the heart, the soul, the spirit, what is your purpose beyond the way that you are used by others? And in that space, in that quiet thought, we start gaining true purpose. And the purpose is to have a fulfilled life. Our purpose here on this planet is to have a fulfilled life for self, to be a full cup for self. And only in being a full vessel myself can I now pour into others. The process that's been breaking down for generations is that we've never been the full cup in this country. In other spaces we have, which is why the globalization of the movement is so necessary. It's not a suggestion anymore. Because when we figure out who we are for real, when we start seeing ourselves in the features and the language of other spaces that we come from, now we can get past the myth that we are property that learned to speak and start hearing our voice again. So the narrative that we are overcoming in the States as the kidnapped people of the diaspora is, who are you? And you are not property, and you are not here for use. And you do have a soul and a spirit that survived birth with purpose. Mm-hmm. And now we are here to fulfill that purpose. And in fulfilling that purpose, part of your assignment is to be a bridge for others. We are not islands, we are puzzle pieces. So without yourself, Wyntis, I cannot reach Flint. Without President Olive, I cannot reach Detroit. And through me, you both have a direct ally in the Bay. And if we keep building, 6 degrees becomes 3, 3 degrees becomes 1. And now every resource and every solution is a phone call. Absolutely. And that's the purpose of the MLK space.
Oh, my heart is beating so fast. And Anna, we have a show on Fridays called Sister Circle, and when you started talking about the cup, and Anna talks about she wrote it in the comments, the cup again. Anna didn't know, but Anna, you're coming on the call with me next Tuesday. I just hadn't told you about that yet, but you remind me, and you sound just like Anna. Like, she preaches that same thing, and that's why I'm just sitting here like, oh my God, you guys are like two of the same people, because she talks about coming from. She's from Puerto Rican descent. And she said, my people were brought here. And she preaches the same thing that you just said. How beautifully spoken. I just want to thank you for that. So moving along, both of you, I want to ask you both the question: how did you get involved in community activism? And what figure, who played the important part, the most important part in your life that brought you into this role of, I see it as community activism, some may call it as community leadership. Either one, don't fight.
I'll let you go, Kyra.
I think that it starts from being deeply disappointed. So we can take childhood psychology as an example. Everybody that is listening to this call has a privilege called internet, right? There is a certain class of folks that are having this conversation right now because the entire world does not have internet. There is a piece of your story that was disappointed at some point, where you felt unsafe. Some of us were bullied, some of us were not. I happen to be a former athlete, so I had certain privileges that came from that identity. Then you go to certain schools, and depending on what value is assigned to the school you go to, and depending on who you're in front of from the school that you go to, you're either safe or unsafe. And then you travel from the city that you're from into other spaces. And depending on how people feel about your city, you're either safe or unsafe, and so on. Activism for me came from a lot of experiences where I was supposed to be made to feel unsafe and was too stubborn to be afraid. And in that moment, you start becoming very frustrated at the understanding that help is not coming, to President Olive's point. No one is going to rescue you. No one is going to save you when you are in the middle of a domestic violence situation. You can call the police all you want to. They may or may not ask the person to leave, and then they will return you to your unsafe home
Yes, they will.
eventually. They
Yes.
will. If you are a person that is poor and you are stealing food from a grocery store, you will then be placed in an unsafe holding cell with people that are more violent than you because you did not have food in the first place. Crimes of poverty, and so on. When we were at Howard University, there was a very important piece of legislation that came up dealing with affirmative action. And it is so ironic that on April Fools of that particular year, we were all dealing with the DC sniper. Do y'all remember that? The DC sniper was running amok
Yes.
on the East Coast. And inside of this white ex-military professor that somehow was making national news as a father-son team that was of African descent, we let an entire piece of legislation pass on April Fool's Day that deconstructed affirmative action,
Wow.
focused on the wrong things, focused on the wrong narratives, and allowing others to tell our story for us. I was livid. I was livid. Hundreds of thousands of folks were protesting all throughout the District of Columbia. And when you see these protests on TV, you think the numbers matter. What I found out is that we spent the night overnight on the sidewalk. You were allowed to come into the courtroom in teams of 5, and you are sat behind a curtain where the Supreme Court justices never see you. So there's a room full of litigators. There are decision makers at the front of the room, and the public, 5 at a time, is walked in to sit behind a sheet curtain, literally behind a veil. And you sit for about 3 minutes, and then the next group comes in, very performative. I don't want to be a part of that system. I don't want to be a part of that performance. I have too much to lose in not speaking up about common sense solutions that we can take ownership of ourselves. That's how I got into activism.
Okay. And before you answer, Kyra, it's a young lady on here. I call her my unofficial cousin, more like a sister, because she's been rocking with A10 since we started. Miss Jessica Stewart. She's on the YouTube side. You're in the Bay Area. Jessica's out there in LA. I don't know how far that is, but I would love for you two to connect. I
Absolutely.
would love for you two to connect. So, Jessica, I want to make sure that I give her your information or vice versa, because you two would be powerful together out there in California. So,
Absolutely.
President Olive, please, can you answer the question? Would you like for me to repeat it, sir?
Um, sure, just so I can make sure I answer properly.
Okay, so how did you get involved in community activism, leadership, and who was the most what figure played the most powerful impact in your life? Person, it could have been a thing, anything.
So, um, in a nutshell, for me, I kind of grew up having the best of both worlds. And what I mean by that
Hmm.
is that um, I didn't have to be a statistic, right?
Right.
And I say that meaning that my mother and father was married long before I was born. Both had great careers. Um, I graduated high school at 15 years old with a full academic scholarship to Morehouse,
Wow.
but I still ended up in prison.
What?
So, and I'm not trying to take away what the crime that took place or the offense that took place that they called a crime.
Hmm.
But in a nutshell, I went to prison for protecting my household.
Okay.
Um, but it was other things. Like I said, I don't want to try to minimize nothing that I was doing because because even though I had the good household and things like that, I also had a direct lineage and to a street a known street organization
Hmm.
that I was in leadership of, and so in the midst of me being in prison, um, it gave me time to reflect, to really look at myself to figure out what are you gonna do. Like um, was successful on both legally and illegally before prison. But while I'm in prison, I'm looking at what's going on within our community. I'm looking at the condition and the mindset of the people coming in, and so I made my mind up that okay, I'm gonna start doing something now. I'm gonna start doing something with the power that I have. I'm gonna start doing something with this knowledge and sense that I have, and so that gave birth to me helping a list of people get out of prison while I was still in there, by helping them identify different errors that was that happened within their case. That got me to help start legislating for people within to get some conditions changed within the prison.
That's amazing.
And even um, got me additional 2.5 years because when I seen the parole board, I told them that they said we feel that you manipulated the system because you're not one that's supposed to be in here, and we know that if we let you go, that you probably won't come back. And I told them, well, actually, you're wrong. I actually do plan on coming back, just not on this side of the desk.
Mm.
And I was still young then, right?
Right.
So I probably shouldn't have said that, but it was the truth because I actually, when I did get out, I actually got a clearance to go back into the prison to start a reentry program to help prepare individuals that were coming home to what to expect when they get out. But long story short, what the really changing point that made me really start being vocal was when I realized how many people didn't have a voice. When I realized how many people that had great intentions but didn't know how to properly articulate themselves or their words to be heard. I think about Lauren in India. India was my little sister, and Lauren was my fiance, who was murdered, who both was murdered, March 6, 2013, in a triple homicide. The
Wow.
most beautiful souls that you ever would come across. We would literally didn't have to know you, but would give you the shirt off their back. And so in losing them, I really realized that something has to change. And ultimately, I have to be the one that initiate that change within me first and foremost, but then also within any space that I come into. And that gave birth to that. And so when I got out, um, I was like within 45 days of me getting out, I was blessed with the opportunity um, to actually run the Clinton campaign in Detroit. And it came about because they were trying to figure out how do we reach the people who normally don't go out to vote.
Mhm.
Well, I told them, well, first and foremost, one, you have people that's not even from a different part of that city or state. You have people from other states coming into the communities that don't understand nothing, nor do they look like the communities that they're going into. And you want people to actually listen and take heed up from those people.
We're
I
going
said
through
that
that now.
I said
That's
that's
amazing.
not going to happen.
Right.
And so they gave me the opportunity to hire 215 people in Detroit. And so those 215 people, about 75 of those people were actively on probation or parole. They gave us 2 weeks to do some voter registration, and we made history. And it actually, you can look back in the Detroit News and Free Press that we got over 23,000 people registered to vote in 2 weeks. But beyond, they were amazed beyond those numbers of the fact of how many of those were real authentic signatures.
Mhm.
And so uh, that right there gave me, that empowered me to be able to change these 217 people's life, because several of them actually were selling drugs. They were actually in the street life. And I gave them an opportunity, which the average person in that position wouldn't have ever given them an opportunity
Right.
to get involved in something positive, productive, and gave them an opportunity to make a sustainable, legitimate, legal living, right, for their families. And that's what gave birth to what you see today. That gave me more momentum to be able to change the narrative and start creating opportunities for our people. Because it's like, if I don't create the opportunity, or we don't create the opportunity, and we waiting on somebody else to, our people will never have certain opportunities. And so, well, for example, one of the people who I brought out of the street life, he completely turned his life around, got a job working for the city of Detroit. Still to this day, is not committed no more crimes, and not doing anything illegal, but being a productive father to his family. And so to be able to look at those things, and to be able to look at other examples of things that happened to me, and I'm like, I got the power to change the narrative. So, for example, after I got through with that campaign, I took a portion of that money and I bought me a nice used Yukon. It was black on black, fully loaded. And I was like, well, I'm gonna make some money doing Uber and Lyft. But Uber and Lyft told me that I can't work for them because I have to have a valid driver's license for 3 years. I did 9.5 years in prison. So in the state of Michigan, if you don't renew your license within 5 years, you start all the way over.
I didn't
So,
know that.
so I had to start all the way over. But I said, okay, well, Uber and Lyft told me no. How is that? That's not going to stop me. So I had my son create me a Facebook page, and I put on Facebook, from point A to point B in the city of Detroit, in a luxury insured black SUV for $10. My Facebook started doing numbers. Long story short, within 8 months, I got a contract to do transportation for the Aretha Franklin Amphitheater, and I was driving celebrities that was performing for their concerts. So, for example, one thing, if you go to my Facebook, you'll see a post that I made where in December of 2016, I went to a juvenile concert at Harpo's. That summer, I drove Juvenile to his concert at the Aretha Franklin Amphitheater. So it
Look
was,
how life.
and now I'm able to hire multiple people who normally wouldn't get an opportunity, within my security company and my limousine service, my transportation company. So it's just about changing the narrative and seeing problems and say, okay, well, I'm not going to wait on nobody else to fix that problem. I'm gonna
Gotta
give it
fix
a
it
shot
ourselves.
myself.
Right.
And so that's how it came from me. And then keeping the life and legacy of my mother of India and Lauren alive by doing what I know that they would want me to do for others, because or the things that I know that they would do for others. So since they can't do it, then them not being here no more, I'll take on that responsibility and do it for them.
Such powerful stories, both of you. A lot I didn't know about you. And that's just that really touched me. Very powerful. So moving along, Kyra, how has Michigan made history through the MLK League?
Oh my goodness, just making us proud all over the globe. So we are uh, experiencing two pieces of history in the month of March. In the month of March, the International MLK League of Community Leaders was able to reach all qualifications for the first U.S. chapter in history. That was on March 11th. In short order, less than 2 weeks later, the state of Michigan reached the first state charter in history on the 24th of March, I believe. And so we have our headquarters in the city of Detroit. And we are bringing the first international Silence All Violence Summit to Michigan. This summit will move from city to city. We will teach folks all of our ways of deconstructing violence, all of our proven programming, and give these templates to you in a summit space. This is a combination of trainings and panel discussions, but Michigan got it done on the ground first. We are very honored to be here with one of our ambassadors in Wyntis Hall for the city of Flint. So, Flint, I know you are listening in. Please go to www.mlkleague.org to support the official charter of the city of Flint coming online and coming on board to get this work done.
And I
But
will
I
have
am
the link posted
extremely
everywhere as
everywhere,
soon as the show
everywhere.
is over. Right. Okay, I'm sorry.
No, you are fine. But no, I'm extremely proud. You will find that in all spaces, to be clear for everyone listening in, there is power. I brag about Detroit. I brag about Michigan because I am never at a table that Michigan is not also sitting in. We get it done. So I am very, very happy to see us be the headquarters and the first state to come online with this global agreement.
Hey, did you have anything you want to add with that?
No, just I want everybody to understand that you, as the individual, are a leader in your own right. Whether that is, you know, the mom or dad at the home to your children, whether you are someone that is, a member of your church or recreations, somebody's always watching, and somebody is looking to you or looking at you as an example of what to do or what not to do.
That's true.
And so we're all leaders, whether we want to acknowledge that or not. And so my thing is, take your rightful place at the MLK League table, so that way you yourself, along with all of us, can change the narrative within our community.
And as I said today, when we're talking on the bump, we got to stop waiting for people to come in and help us, and we got to start helping ourselves. And I'm so glad that this show was for today, because this is exactly what I'm talking about. And like I said, when we get off of here today, I will post the link again. I want everybody that's watching to join, because, like he said, like Kyra said, we all have leadership capabilities inside of us, and we got to stop waiting for people to save us when we can save ourselves. That's very important. So, Kyra, just a little bit more about the Silence All Violence Summit that's coming in Detroit. Like, can you tell us like what all is going to be happening? Because we may have some listeners right now that, oh, you know what, I want to go and see what else is going on.
Absolutely. So, first and foremost, this is a global experience. So, to President Olive's point, I can't stress enough who we're looking for. I'm looking for the people that talk too much. I'm looking for the people that always have an opinion about the way
Uh-oh.
that things should work. I'm looking for the people that want to be heard and have a solution to offer. I'm looking for the innovators. I'm looking for the courageous. We are looking for the organizers that are always being asked what they think needs to come next. This is that table. And most importantly, it's a step in our development, because so often we are the smartest person in the room when we're playing small. So often we get comfortable leading folks that don't have tools, that don't have resources, that don't have answers. We got to be braver than that. Because for what's coming, you have to be able to lead amongst leaders. You have to be able to make your point in a room full of knowledgeable folks. You have to be able to speak truth to power. And you've heard that phrase, but what that truly means is standing 10 toes down in your truth and explaining why you need what you need from a business standpoint. I need these pipes fixed because it is costing you $1.3 million over the last 10 years in medical expenses for this population of folks that is producing all of these college graduates, all of these new families, all of these children are attending school next year, and they still don't have basic drinking water.
Right.
And this is not a problem that we can't solve. At the MLK League, the table that we are putting together, it's being assembled by folks that are closest to the problem.
Mhm.
We are not politicians. We are not millionaires. We are not folks that have come so far from our roots or so far from the soil that we don't still have dust on our shoulders. We do.
Right.
We do. And we're proud of that dust. And you share that dust and you recognize that dust. And in that story, we can get work done. So I want to be very clear that this summit is a 3-day experience. On Friday, our 40 under 40 folks, right? 40 years old and under, have an entire space where we have folks from the NFL, actresses, influencers coming to the city of Detroit to share what an opportunity looks like when you have 40 years of less under your belt. And what does celebration of excellence in that space look like? That night we have a gala. And then for those of you all who are creatives, we have a very special space called the Celebration of Art and Life. The Michigan family has lost so many creatives in the past 3 years to things like medical violence, meaning we have cures for the things that our people are passing from, and either lack of resources or lack of medical care or care in medicine has taken them away from us under 60, under 50, under 40 in record numbers. Second, gun violence. Folks from the block and folks that are in uniform have left this family in record numbers, and it's not okay. So we will be celebrating those folks. We have folks from the spoken word space, R&B space, soul space, performance space that we are challenging for the first time in history to join the MLK League, to use your platform, not just the art, but your voice to put a necessary message out there. It's not about whether you curse or don't curse in your music. It's about what do you stand for when you go home? And what
That's,
type of future do you want your children to have? That is the conversation that we're having.
thank you. President Olive, this conference is June.
Mm-hmm.
What's the dates again?
June 14th, June 15th, and June 16th.
You heard that, June 14th, 15th, and 16th. For those of us in Flint, it's just right down the street. Anna, I expect you to be here from DC. We're going to go together. Now, can you please just expand on it a little bit more about the summit for those of us that are over 40? What do we have to do? We didn't heard about under 40, but over 40. What do we have?
Well. There is going to be on Friday an event dealing with the faith-based groups as well as the organizations, and in that space, they're going to be taught on how to actually build out community from within. Um, so that looks like helping and giving people a blueprint of how to build out your ministry or your organization to be able to reach the youth, right? A lot of us talk about the youth is the future,
Yes, we
and
do.
how we want the youth to succeed, but then we don't have the proper tools, or we have not taken the time to properly listen to how we reach the youth. And so we're going to be doing a lot of teaching on that, teaching people how to leverage the membership. And what I mean leverage the membership, if you have a church or a mosque or your own, block club or whatever, you have people that's lawyers, doctors, nurses, um, plumbers, electricians, whatever, right there within your reach. But a lot of times we don't tap into that, or we don't give people the space or the freedom to say, I'm an electrician. I know how to do this. Or I'm a doctor. I can help with that. And so we want to help people learn how to effectively assess the people that's surrounding you, and then be able to help them tap into what's needed. So we know people who needs somebody needs a roof or a plumber or electrician.
Absolutely.
So now I can say, well, look, brother that lived two houses down, he's a licensed electrician or a plumber. So now I don't have to support outside of my neighborhood or community. I can support right here and keep that money, if nowhere else, at least right here on my block or
Absolutely.
within my community. And so that is priceless. And so we're gonna have that going on. And then we're gonna have a Silence to Violence march that's gonna take place in the city of Detroit, and that is gonna have people from all over the globe coming actively marching in this rally to honor those who were lost from gun violence, and also honor those who are survivors of gun violence. and to also let the people know within the community that the people who you killed had a life. That person had children. That person, it might be a mother or is a child of somebody. And so we want to make sure that we bring the human factor back in that space, and to just rally as a community to let it be known that the nonsense have to stop. And so I know I'm missing some stuff. Kyra, can I throw it back to you?
Absolutely. We have the first Silence All Violence charity dinner. So I'm going to get pointed here for all of my politicians, for all of my funders, for all of my community resource centers that are looking for a way to make a difference. We expect you to be in attendance. We're expecting 250 individual organizations that show support for Black and Brown communities, that show support for marginalized communities, to show your support financially, with your attendance and your time, and to listen. This is about rebuilding trust because as Detroit comes on the map as a tourist location, it's a family. As Michigan comes on the map as a tourist location, there is an existing community of people that are still dealing with everyday problems and challenges. And we are not waiting for anyone to provide solution. On Juneteenth weekend, because we are sovereign, because we are independent, because we are powerful, we are going to start networking across Issa Rae. We're going to start leveraging our relationships with one another. And in this space, you are building power. And we want you there. We want you there on purpose.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Kyra, what does leadership look like to you today?
Leadership means making a difference without asking for permission. It means doing what you can simply because you can. It means taking the necessary steps. And it means holding yourself accountable without anybody else telling you that you're in trouble. It's taking that next step of self awareness and understanding what the right thing is for you, focusing on what the right thing for you is, and making sure that you're aligning with other folks that you are able to help along the way. So, in this space, leadership are people that lead from the front. Leaders don't lead from behind. They are speaking up and speaking out, and they are solution oriented, leading us to the next available step by the talents and the time and the treasure that they were entrusted by the universe to have.
Thank you. And Ronald, I seen your comment. And yes, they can do it in Detroit. We are doing it right now and organizing this chapter here in Flint. So be expected to be a part of this group because we are going to help ourselves. That's what we're going to do here in Flint. We're going to stop expecting for others to come in and help us. We hear every day, we've heard, if you all listen to the Mr. Pony say, we need to organize, we need to organize. Yes, we need to organize, and we are going to start doing it for ourselves right here in Flint, Michigan. If they can do it down 75, if she can do it in the Bay Area, if they can do it across the world in Africa, we can definitely do it here and we will do it in Flint, Michigan. So yes, I seen your comment and I'm going to be looking for you.
And if you don't mind,
Go
the
ahead.
good thing is y'all gonna do it here, but you don't have to do it alone.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's the purpose of this space, for us to be able to share the different things that work, the different blueprints of success that others have had, to share it with one another, and then also share the resources with one another, so that way we can affect that change here that needs to be affected, and elsewhere too. But we most definitely just know that you don't have to do it alone, and you won't do it alone, because we most definitely have to come together as a family, because the impact and effect that you all here have here, it also affects me, because y'all my brothers and sisters up here in Flint.
Absolutely.
And that's how we have to look at it. We're all one family.
Right.
We're all connected in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Whether you like that person or not, we connected. And I seen a slogan in Highland Park when they were dealing with the water issue that they have. They said, Flint. It was Highland Park today, you tomorrow, and and that's a real life thing. It was
Sure
Flint
is.
yesterday and Highland Park tomorrow,
Yeah.
or today. And so that's that mindset that we have to look and take on. So y'all not going to be alone up here in Flint, and trust and believe myself or no one else is coming to try to uh, invite you to the table. We come in, to you all's table,
Mhm.
because too often also we have people who come and try to give us the narrative or the solutions, and they'll have no idea what's actually going on within the community, which is why we have individuals such as the sister Wyntis as the ambassador here to be able to help organize in Flint. Not me coming down here to organize in Flint, but Flint right here to organize within your perspective place. And we come together and share resources, share experiences, and help make it happen. And us also going to stand with you in the midst of controversy or political nonsense.
Mhm.
So they won't think, oh, we can just shut Flint up and it'll be okay. No, well, you got to shut Detroit up and everywhere else
Yep.
we at too.
Absolutely. And
So yeah.
James, I see your comment up there. You said we're in Flint. Now remember, James, I said I had something coming that I wanted you to be a part of. This is it. We are looking for a place right now. I started today where we can have our own town hall 810 along with the MLK leadership organization because we're going to get this thing rolling. So, with everybody that's watching, if somebody has a space for us to meet big enough where we can have a town hall, let me know. Hit me up in my inbox because we need to get this ball rolling now, which leads me right into my next question for Kara. What does bringing a chapter to Flint look like?
It starts with this conversation. The first thing is awareness. And Ms. Hall has done an amazing job of organizing this process, simplifying. So please make sure that you take down all contact information. Again, our website is www.mlkleague.org. Become a member. Membership is accessible, and for those of all that just absolutely don't have it, we also have global scholarships. But we are a member-driven organization. Nobody in our back pocket, nobody that we have to check in with. This is a people-driven movement. Secondly, 50 community leaders will bring the leadership, speaking on behalf of Flint, necessary to create your own chapter. It will not be chosen for you. You all will decide who you would like to speak in your founding class. Everyone that joins the MLK League in 2024 is part of history. And everyone who joins does not have to be a leader. Leadership is something you own. So be clear. Some of us, we're just going to give our money, we're going to give our time, and that's it. And some of us are going to invest and own the mission. Those are the people that we need to see connecting with Ms. Hall and President Olive, myself, and others to make sure that the proper person is speaking to power at the time that it's time to speak. So we're looking for you and we want you all to sign up.
And membership is just simply how much?
$30 a year. Just $30
$30.
a year.
And if we got children, or some of us, if we just go by ourselves, we spending almost $30 at McDonald's. So just think how this $30 can turn Flint around. It's going
And
to be a well invested $30. I guarantee you that.
And
and
just to
and
make it easier, folks that attend the summit, if you purchase a ticket, your membership is included. So we understand we're trying to make this as accessible as
Mhm.
possible.
I was going to also say that as we're speaking about the excuse me, as we're speaking about our youth being the future, we are very unapologetically trying to prepare or actively preparing our youth for leadership. And so, students and educators, $20 is for the annual membership for them.
Okay. Okay. So students and educators, $20. Everyone else, $30. I paid mine. I lead by example. So I'm expecting when the links go up after the show is over, I need y'all to rock it because we need to take our city back starting today. We cannot afford to wait another day, another week, another month. We need to take our city back today. And for the rest of you all around the country, join in too. This is a wonderful opportunity because the MLK, like the MLK League of Leaders, you said it's in how many states?
We're in 29 different states already, and we're
Okay.
in 2 nations already, rolling out across zip codes. To be very clear, because we have folks that feel like global can't be effective. It is a global network empowering local excellence. The solution is always local. The leadership is always local. But the power is in the globe. It's in the fact that you cannot shut Flint up when Detroit is hurting. You cannot shut Louisiana up when Chicago is hurting. You cannot shut California up when DC is hurting, because now there are no favorites. Now you always have a brother or sister at the table speaking on your behalf, and there are no small communities.
Absolutely. And James, I see you said you're ready. I've been ready. I just been sitting back and watching and see who's really ready. And I know you're one of the ones that are ready. And I'm excited. And we're gonna make a hell of a team along with a lot of other people out here in Flint. Um, Anna says, does DC have a chapter? She's joining right now as we speak. And does the DC have a chapter?
DC and California are running neck and neck for the next state. I would love to see the District of Columbia. I would love to see you come online, and we can connect you some of our leaders that are organizing. We have a national call on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard on Zoom, where you can connect with your fellow co-conspirators in this work and help to fund the mission faster, help to found the mission faster. So yes, DC and California are both coming online, along with Tennessee, New York, and Texas. Those are our starting four right now.
And I seen when Miss Magnolia said that's not bad because we pay that for the NAACP and they don't do nothing for the people of Flint. Miss Magnolia, I knew you was gonna give me some shade tonight, girl. I knew you was, but that's the truth. We want to see our money work for us. We've been sitting here in Flint too long not doing anything. We sit here every morning and we talk about the stuff that's going on. Now it's time to get some action behind it. Now I don't have to scream about the other organizations because we're going to have our own right here. And we got help, like she said. Flint's not going to go needing something when we got help in Detroit, when we got help in California, when we got help all around the United States and all around the globe. So I thank you both, and I would love for you both to make closing statements to encourage more people to join. As I said, I will be posting the website to join on Flint Politics Reboot on my page after we get off here, and also on A10 News Media Group page. Kyra, and then the president will take us out.
I think the thought or the image that I want us to close out is understanding who's on your side. As we move toward the summit, you're going to hear statistics. The uneducated and the disconnected voice will say something to the effect of, we only lost 300 people in this area last year. We only lost 200 people to gun violence this year. When I hear that, I hear a person that doesn't care about me. Because if I lost a family member 200 times in a year, I'm devastated. I can't breathe. The trauma is so heavy, it has changed me permanently. And for those of us in the Michigan space, I know over the last 5 years, we all feel that way, that there has been so much loss and it hits you in the heart in a way that you can't even speak about. You stop going to funerals. You stop accepting phone calls. You take off from social media, even though that might or may not be your main source of news, because the postings get to be too numerous, and it's painful when it's your 200 people. It's really painful. The narrative that we're creating here is one life lost unnecessarily is too many, because you're mine. When we talk about leadership, I want you to understand that this is a personal movement. This is a familial, tribal movement. What do I mean by that? Every life matters for real. And if you agree with that, this is the space. If your narrative is, we lost one baby too many this summer, we lost one mother too many this winter, we lost one father too many the last time we went to the hospital, now we can get to work, because we're not a business. We're not a business that has these bad debt write-offs in life where you have a certain number of people that were not valuable before it's a problem. The image that I want to paint here is the history of the MLK League is every life is valuable. Every child is valuable. And if you believe that, then come to this table. If you do not, don't talk to me.
That's it. Period. Thank you, President.
Um, I guess one of the things I want to leave everybody with is we all know somebody who nag and complains about everything that's going wrong, and we can list it. We it might be valid. We have a space now that we can actually do something about what's going wrong.
Oh, I'm so excited.
We can actually collectively hold ourselves accountable
Mhm.
as well as those other, whether it's a politician
Yes.
or whoever else, accountable for whatever wrong or lack that might exist that they have control over. Uh, one in the words of Dr. King, he said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." So we have to take heart to that. We have to really hold on to that and make that a real reality. And so that's what we're doing here. This is the space for you to come and be safe to speak your truth. This is a safe space for you to come to share your ideas and watch your idea manifest into a reality. Because once again, we are the solution to the problem. Us collectively is the solution. And we have to change the narrative. And the only way that we can do that is us collectively standing together, working together, saying enough is enough, and
That's
say
right.
we're about to take initiative ourselves. And so www.mlkleague.org is where you can go to see our mission, where you can go to join, where you can go to get other updates and information, and take the first step to a better tomorrow.
Thank you so much. You all remember www.mlk.org. I will be posting all the links within the next 30 minutes. I need everybody to join. If you know of a space in Flint where we can have our first town hall meeting at, let me know because I'm looking and I see a lot of people on here that are just excited as I am. Let's get going, Flint, today. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate you coming on and see you all tomorrow morning on the bump.